Welcome. It's been a minute. I haven't posted on this channel in a while, and I do have a normal mathematical video coming out tomorrow. This is more of a meta-mathematical or other sorts of video because I want to explain some things about where I've been, what these things mean for my upcoming plans or abilities or goals, or what will be happening with my two channels and other projects in the next few months, and where we are at in general in combo class here. I'm not sure if we're at the halfway point of grade -3 or if it's a bit earlier than that. Sometimes you can't gauge how far you are through something until it gets there. Normally the grades have 36 episodes on my main combo class channel and a lot of bonus stuff here. And I never stop writing and researching, so I still, more than ever in fact recently, have been doing a lot of mathematical research. And I take notes about everything I write, and the notes make me, in my opinion, not sure how to say it in a non-bragging-y way, but they make me come up with a lot of clever thoughts that some of them I find so clever that I'm like, I need to make this a really well-done episode or chapter of a book sometime. And so most of my best ideas you folks haven't seen yet because they are the ones that I have highest perfectionism towards. And I also catch a little disease of perfectionism hits me when I take a break from something, when I haven't done it. Everyone has to some degree that when you do like a habit that you're used to of any form, our life is all habits we do to some amount or another. It's just everything's a spectrum like that, where if you do something frequently enough, it may be classified as a habit. And with those habits we form, I have more than average the thing where, well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it can go either way, because at times I get really into something for a few months or something and then get really into something else, but with some deeper underlying things that I always love, such as mathematics, writing, and filming things, and a few other things. But I do have, to some degree, more than most people, that when I do something a lot, I stick with doing it. It feels a lot more natural. For example, there are some times of my life where I will take a walk to the marina, which takes about 10 minutes of walking on like the more boring city streets before you get to nice, pretty areas. And you can walk around, see birds, you're getting your nature, you're getting your exercise, all sorts of good stuff. Sometimes I'll write notes on my phone, sometimes I'll just look at the nature, and sometimes I'll try to walk fast enough for long enough that it's like exercising. You're not even really thinking about much apart from, like moving your body and stuff. But then if I don't do that for a little bit, I'll find I won't do it for a long time. And so when I get off of filming for a little bit, I get the same perfectionism I have toward my books and toward certain musical projects. Back in the day, where are we right now is a question, and I gotta point something out right here. Okay, you see these shadows? I realized when I was filming the other day, I was like, why aren't the shadows looking right? You don't see the shadows like this when you're filming with your camera at night and the flash is on your camera. If that's what you're using, it looks cool to have it be dark and just have like one or two brighter light sources on part of it so you get shadows. But when I filmed at night, I was like, why doesn't it look as interesting as normal? When like my real eyes can see the world in a more 3D way, even though it's a complicated concept to what degree our eyes would be described as seeing 2D or 3D. But I'll get into that sometime. But I see the world in a more 3D way, like everyone does, humans, more than you see when you have to look at a flat thing that's the screen, which is the screen trying to capture the 3D thing. There's a layer removal when you're watching a video trying to get all of the depth your eyes can see about the world. And there's other things apart from depth, like cameras may have a hard time capturing like little rainbows you might see in the light or something. But with shadows at night, I realized it's because when you film with the flash coming right there, they're at the exact same angle. And with my camera, for example, they're barely offset. So you don't see shadows like this where I can like change them because they're like, you can change them a tiny bit, but the shadow's like right behind the object, barely this extra edge, you see. And so I feel like a lot of people, if you filmed at night, might do that to film from the same place. So this is a Demotro tip. If you film at night and you want to look extra cool, like you're trying to get shadows and stuff, then have the light source be a bright thing in a dark area that isn't capturing everything but sort of pointing, sort of like a flashlight, or a flashlight on a phone works pretty well usually. I actually like candles a little more. Maybe we'll use a candle when I'll explain everything going on throughout this. But when you use that, the Demotro tip is have the light source at a different angle. Now, it is shadowy in here, although I'm indoors, actually. I'm doing that for a different reason. It's shadowy outside, not by my choice. If I could choose, I would have it not shadowy out there. But I'm choosing to have it shadowy in here. It's shadowy out there because it's 10:30 p.m. here. Or, in a slightly better way of describing that, 23 and a half o'clock. Now, so I think I did that right. Yeah. So out there, we are going to see the classroom, but I can't talk really loud, and I wanted to talk more clearly and directly during the intro. I'm going to have to be a little more whispery when we get out to the classroom in a moment. And that's because I'm very close to the classroom. The classroom's literally 10 feet. Like, actually, if my arm was 7 feet further, it would be in technically what I call the classroom, except there's a wall. But I mean, if it was like, my arm was 7 feet further, it would be through the wall and in technically what I call the classroom. My fingertips would be. Now, that's because I'm in an area on my family's property that my ability to use this more now as a space I'm setting up to do more indoor recording, at least for the next few months, correlates with some difficulties I've had filming recently. There's been a lot of changes around my house recently because I'm not going to give all the details about this, but my parents are getting separated. And so first of all, that's not super easy to be in the middle of any time for any family, but that is what's going on right now. Is at the moment my father is staying somewhere else, and I am with my mother and my brother at this house. Now, given that we don't have much money, I'm not positive we're going to be able to keep the house after this when assets get split and such. It's not like a fight or anything. I'm getting along okay with my dad now. I've gotten in arguments with him in the past that have been pretty intense, but right now I don't have like a problem with my dad the past few months or whatever. So with that, they're still going to need to split up assets and stuff fairly. So I'm not positive that I'll be able to keep the classroom here. I'm hoping so, and I'm going to try and make that work. There's a decent chance of it, that I can keep it. Probably more than 50%, but I'm not sure. If I have to move it, I will make I'll make the same type of thing. It's not about which corner it's in. It's that it's an outdoor corner with some nice trees and a background fence I can put my clocks on and enough room for a desk. And I guess I'll need cool neighbors to tolerate all of it and such. Like these neighbors are. They're not correlated to any problems going on or whatever. Now, sort of an anti-problem I do want to share. Although I've had some difficulties processing a lot of changes that have happened in my life the past few months that aren't just those, but also I talked to a psychiatrist a few months ago and learned some more updates about their guesses of what ways I might be, like what little conditions I might have a mild degree of, or what ways I might be neurodivergent, which are, I'm certainly a weird person, but I am not strong enough in one particular trait for it to be that obvious. That's the person who is like, this or that particular condition or way of being less common in your brain, like being neuroatypical or whatever the right terms are. So I'm certainly a bit neurodivergent, and finding some updates about their guesses of the ways in which I am sort of made me reprocess a lot about my life. I'm not going to fully go into that now. If anyone has any guesses, they could guess. Maybe I'll confirm or deny. You don't need to. But I'm not even looking at the chat yet. I will in one moment. I will look at the chat. Thank you to everyone who is joining me. I'm more filming this as a video on the channel that I just wanted to film live because I thought it would be in good form to be a, natural, weird, not weird in terms of what's going on as much, but like the improvisational side of me where I'm not editing, where you hear me uncut and you're in the room with me as if I'm talking to you for an hour. Now, so it's more so a video just to be out on the channel on the live tab. But to anyone joining me today, thank you so much. I will check the comments in a moment. Now, with all this stuff going on, it's made it kind of harder to film at the shed in some moments, or out there in some moments. But in here that I call the shed, this is a place that I used to use to record music all the time. So this was actually set up to be a music studio. And so not everyone knows this, but before combo class, the job that I had was, I've had a few jobs in the past, but the biggest one I've ever had, the one I had most recent to combo class and stuff, was as a music teacher. I taught piano and guitar and a few other stringed instruments similar to guitar, like bass and ukulele and stuff. And also making beats on GarageBand, I also taught. So I did some math tutoring as well, but some people may find it surprising. They don't always know. A lot of my life has been spent on a few different categories, and one of those is studying math and writing ideas about it. One of those is filmmaking, and I've had a lot of YouTube channels in the past. One of those, and a lot of other filmed projects that I have, like half-finished movies, I have like pilots for TV shows, and all sorts of stuff that maybe I'll show someday. I put some stuff on the Patreon, and I'll one thing I need to do is update the membership on the YouTube thing here to have all the Patreon stuff. So if you're a member on the YouTube here, I'll update that with some weird old stuff from my past. But in this place, I actually recorded a lot of hip-hop and rock music over the years. And other genres, but a lot of the time it could be classified as somewhere near either rock and roll or hip-hop. Those are just some of my favorite genres. Now, these days, actually, I've grown to be a really big hip-hop fan. So not everyone appreciates hip-hop. They'll be like, oh, rappers, they're talking about this or that. But, don't make broad classifications. There are some ways in which hip-hop has become my favorite. And even the rappers who some people think are the worst, it's like, why do you know their name? Perhaps it's over-analysis of one, not, even the artists a lot of people don't enjoy have some really interesting techniques. So I also like studying techniques, and at some point I will make videos about things like everything from, how you'd make a GarageBand beat to like how you'd use the triplet flow in a rap verse or something. Because I have a very distinct way of writing lyrics I write for rapping or singing that I want to share someday too. I have a very different way of using punctuation and capitalization to show myself later as a reminder how I want to emphasize or stress things and where they land on the beat. Because I think it's very important to look at. Almost nobody looks at this when they're writing verses, but to have a structure in your brain that's somewhat lined up on your notepad, but words are different lengths, that has the length of about one bar of music or one line, that what points of it the rhymes are hitting in. So for me, I'll know I said this multisyllabic rhyme at the 3/4 point and the 7/8 point for the two words. Next time, not that I always duplicate it, but you want to know. And you often want to duplicate it. You often want to do something different in a mathematical pattern maybe. So maybe if I need to take a break at any point in this stream, like run inside to get water or anything, actually I have water there, but if I need to use the bathroom or anything, maybe I'll put on my latest GarageBand beat, because I also have a lot of beats no one's heard. Sometimes a lot of my old beats are the soundtracks in the main combo class episodes. but a lot of my new beats haven't ever been heard. Now, anyway, there will be music lessons as well. During this grade, it has to be in grade -3 because I already mentioned it would be, and because there's 3 notes in this particular thing. I want to do my episode about Demotro's mathematical theory of the easier way to learn major and minor chords. That puts it's modular arithmetic. So it's literally when I do the clock math, it's basically like, okay, as long as you call these notes this relationship with numbers, it's just a mod 12 pattern. So so it's all about the connection, like how, a clock is mod 12 too. So a music scale is mod 12. Some of them are mod 7, but like the amount of notes total in an octave is typically split into 12. So there's also mod 7 patterns, and those are similar to calendars with how many days are in a week. You got all these weird mods overlapping with music. So with that, I'll definitely do that during this grade, and probably a lot more. Like when I first started combo class, I ended up going more and more deep down the math rabbit hole. And it kind of, whoa, that was my flashlight. It partially was, well, that was a ghost. I didn't even touch anything, I don't think. Maybe I did. More likely that I accidentally did than it's a ghost. Now, sometimes I like saying things are ghosts or stuff to be spooky, but I think people who know me well enough know that I'm relatively skeptical about those sorts of things, but I'm more open-minded than most skeptics. Now, in any case, this place I'm going to set up an indoor studio, and I have new microphone equipment and stuff that I just need to set up, but that's like practically ready, and so it will sound better than that. This is like the worst possible audio right now. Now, the math video I'm putting out tomorrow is also the second worst type of audio. Probably worst because of the wind in the background. Now, I'll be honest, I've been getting in this mental fight with the wind. When I get perfectionist in between not having released anything for a while, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to put out something random when I come back or whatever, or I don't want to put something that's like repetitive. Like, I'll be like, okay, here are all these videos that whenever I make a main video, I'll have like 3 other bonus videos that correlate with it. And I'll be like, oh, I should wait a little while before I put them out. And then I'm like, oh, I've waited too long. And so I get all these nitpicks. And then I'll sort of battle with like, oh no, the wind's making these really loud noises on the camera. Because sometimes the camera catches the wind in an annoying way. And I'll really overanalyze like the worst that a viewer might think. Like that a viewer will be like, God damn, what? He tricked me with the video. I didn't expect wind noises. But I don't know. I can sometimes be self-critical more than some people would expect on some things. And I broke free from that a bit with combo class. So I'm going to return to that. I have literally more than 100 shorts written. The concepts of like the interesting thing that will be in the short, whether it's a fact or a new idea or whatever. And so I'm going to just get down and film them. Another difficulty is, although I do have some things set up for going forward, my main camera person moved away for a bit. He may be back in the future, but I'm going to be working with a different camera person for a bit. And one of my other camera people started classes, and various things made it so that I fell out of having a weekly schedule of filming stuff like I used to. And so I went really deep down the rabbit hole the past few months, and sort of before that, because things, gradually go up, or in this case down, I guess, or somewhere, into my writing mode, where I'm cooped up in my room a lot, or in the yard a lot as well, but on the computer a lot, or on paper notebooks sometimes, which is good to a degree, and I generate tons of ideas. But I need to just start filming a lot of them for the bonus thing, because I keep thinking this idea could connect to this. And one problem I realized is that there's a few problems I've realized with this, but just one I want to point out. That, things I can overcome to get past this. One of them I want to point out is, as I learn more about math, I learn more about the connections between everything. And that's part of like combo theory to me, or what combology. Wait, no, that's part of the whole name. What's the whole name I put in here? It's combologra combologra combolographanomal. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce it. I didn't put the right amount of things in there. I wrote down a better one somewhere. Whereas there's one that I was able to pronounce way better, because words have different, like, you need the syllables and emphases to land right. That's another thing. I've really recently, a lot of the notes I'm taking, although I also write the way in which I want to make a video about them, the start of a lot of the notes I've been taking are for a whole book I'm writing. Now, I've had so many books that I've half written throughout my life, and I really want to finish a bunch of those. And I hold my writing to maybe the highest standard of what I'm like perfectionist about, or what I will be proud of. Where, like, currently Combo Class is the thing I am most proud of. There is a chance that if once I publish enough books that, like, those would be tied, or the books could even surpass it. Because the deepest thing in me that I think makes me good at the videos as well, because I'm the guy who both does the planning for what's going to be in the video, the brainstorming for how I'm going to line up the concepts in what order, and, like, then the one who also phrases things in a half pre-written, half brain, half improvisational way. So I think this relates to the videos and to me liking to write rap lyrics and stuff, but writing has always been my deepest passion. When I was younger, I always would bring a paper notebook everywhere. Now I've gotten sort of into the digital thing where I will take notes on my phone or computer a lot, but sometimes I'll go back to the paper ones because they do make you think about it slightly differently, and sometimes just throws off your brain into the zone it needs to be to have a different type of thought or whatever. And I think it gets you more down to earth and connected to just thinking. If you are in a place that doesn't have that much technology, such as camping or something, to, like, let's say you're camping and your phone's off, then a paper thing is good. You know, you can be completely in the nature world and be writing. So, like, a pen is one of the, like, crucial symbols of my life. Or really, ink is what I see it as, because that's in common with pens and markers. And ink is a symbol for other things, like, you know, you could use an ink spill is, you know, sort of correlates in the mind thoughts of, like, data going missing or censored or something. Now, okay, I was partially going back and forth between explaining what's next and explaining some random past things and explaining what I've been up to the past few months. I'm going to wrap up the Threven bit, which is that when I make this Threven book, it might be something that I'm as proud of that book as an entire grade of Combo Class. Because, like, the fact that I want this to be the first book that I put out, and I do think I want to publish the books just under Demotro. It's a mononym. So that's why I made it, so that you don't need more than one name. So, it's like, I was like, it's so simple and so close. I'll explain more later. But with that, the book might just say Demotro, but it might be something I'm as proud of as a whole grade of Combo Class. And I have to watch myself from not putting too much weird structural things in it. But it does have some chapters and portions of the book that treat the structure of a book very differently, because I want to get people back into reading paper books. Reading, I think, is different than when I was saying I do a lot of writing on the computer. I don't like reading on the computer. I read a lot of articles and stuff on the computer. But when you have the book that's like a whole book that's in a lot of pages, I don't like it for some reason. I like the paper book. And there are some books that you need the paper book to get the experience. And I realized a lot of math books are sort of close to that, in that you couldn't have an audiobook of a lot of math books. They require visuals. And I like overanalyze stuff like that. I'm like, oh, but what if I want to make this a really good book, and then, like, in 30 years someone wants to make an audiobook of it, but they almost could do they could almost do half of the chapters, but they all had some random diagram that messes it up. Maybe I should put the structure of where all the non-audiobook breaking things go or whatever, but I'll try not to overanalyze all that because there's more than enough ideas about even and threeven numbers in my notes. And to give a very quick synopsis of what my book is going to be about, this book is going to be about the first three numbers, multiples of 6, and unfortunately, it's also going to be a lot about 5 and 10. And it's going to be about why I said unfortunately there. And the themes of the book include the numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 12, 24, 30, 36, 60, 100, and 120. Maybe 99 also. Maybe 360 also. Maybe -1 and 1/2 also. Oh, definitely 1/2 and 1/3. Maybe -1. Yeah, -1. So those are just numbers. The themes of the book are those numbers, as well as okay. I'm not gonna go into that. I'm gonna overanalyze this and talk for like 10 minutes trying to figure out how I should phrase the themes of the book. Never mind. You'll see it when you get it. You'll probably hear other clues later. But that is a big thing I'm working on. And I also have been working on a lot of music I want to release. So I have more than a music album, a lot more than a music album worth of lyric. Basically, mostly what I want to do to record the rest of the music is take a lot of the beats that you may have heard as combo class soundtracks, but you may have heard a slightly different version of them. Because sometimes I take some of their elements that are more to make them like bump as a song, and I reduce those for the soundtrack version. So sometimes it's an edited version of the beat. Like I often reduce the treble to make them bassier. So because like then the voice and it sort of are a little more clear if it's ever a circumstance where my voice can get buried in the audio, you can lower it. Or I could just start making my voice really high pitched. But anyway, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. But sorry to anyone who's actually in the live chat. I really will check that soon. But there is other things I really need to share. Those are some of the main reasons why I've been gone. And I might make a whole, there might be the next episode that's on the Combo Class channel on my other main channel. Not the very next one coming. Which the next one coming, I have been editing and I went really deep down that project as well. So I forgot to mention that, but I'll try to get it out within a week or so. I'm not positive because it's really long, but I'll try to get it out within a week or so. There's maybe the longest episode I've ever made coming out on the Combo Class channel. And it's something that I kept thinking while I've been filming and editing it. This is way more than one episode worth of concepts. But it all fits together so nicely that it just I can't, it would play the YouTube algorithm so much better to split this into 5. There would be 5 really catchy titles and thumbnails among the concepts. And it's even harder to name the whole thing, something that reflects all of them. It's harder to make it catchy when you're trying to describe the whole set of them. But it's some really, really surprising to me, mixed with things that are mildly surprising to me, some might surprise others, but some of which really surprised me as someone who loves studying numbers, about when you actually look at size comparisons of what happens with sums, differences, products, maximums, minimums, means, reciprocals, ratios of things, certain really simple sounding things like that. When you have these comparisons, there are these sentences I can create that are mathematically true in terms of the main way you would translate the sentence to there. It ends up becoming inherently a linguistic related thing, the type of things in the episode, which is hard to explain, but I don't want to give examples because it'll be cooler to see them in it. But it inherently becomes a bit of a linguistic thing because it's about these like ways of phrasing these things I discovered that are so against what my intuition was taught in school and then stuck with forever. It's like these intuitions about the simplest operations that are like maybe the most important operations we're taught, and then we learn a lot more about math, and then what it focuses on are the cases I found where what you might expect, in many cases what I expected even as someone who studies a lot of math, because you just don't rethink some of the really simple intuitions you have, because not all of them matter or whatever, but some of them are like so simple that you're like, how could it be wrong? Well, this episode pinpoints the cases, or highlights mostly the cases, that it's so wrong that the opposite of what I expect didn't just happen half the time, but more than half of the time. So, like, not only the difference between like an untrue intuition and an anti-true intuition, to go with our theme of a lot of prefixes in the title. Those are different. Un means not, anti means reverse. And so, I mean, not only, un can also mean undo, like in a reversal way, whereas the reverse means like the flip or the reflection for anti, but these are, things that we have to assign meaning to. But, for example, un versus anti there, an untrue intuition might be like, oh, I thought that numbers are usually positive, but really if you look at the number line fairly, they're only positive half the time. But I'm talking about like anti-true intuitions where if this isn't one, obviously, but if it was like, oh, numbers are usually positive. Wait, that's less than half of the time? And some of the cases, the surprising one wins 3/4 of the time or more. So make sure you watch the next episode on the Combo Class channel. But part of what I've been busy with, and I really got to get back to this channel, but part of what I've been busy with is really long episodes. And I hope at some point anyone who cares enough to have watched more than 30 seconds or so of this stream definitely should, when they have time, watch the last few episodes I put on the Combo Class channel, because those are definitely, like, if someone asked, like, okay, you get to put a few of the things you've created in your life in some museum of real or digital things. Right now, the past few episodes on the Combo Class channel are the coolest thing I've ever created in my life. So the next one is going to join that list, and it might be the longest episode on there. I'm still editing all these bits. It has a really long amount I filmed, but a lot of it, it's like I'm cutting these boring bits, and then I have to fit the gaps together and stuff. But it also, I forgot to mention, to demonstrate the really surprising things, most of the episode is graphs. So a lot of it is filmed outdoors and stuff, but the majority of the episode is, although not really the majority of the first 10 minutes or so, because it's sort of building the concept, but once it's like the concept's built, to visualize the deeper ones, it goes to graphs on Desmos, 2D and 3D. To look at relationships in that way, where you can see them like visually. For example, with my oversimplified analogy about the oversimplified version is, oh, I think numbers are usually positive. No, wait, that's half the time. Then, and to anyone thinking, is it half the time? 0 is neither. Well, if we said whole numbers, it's not half the time. Neither of them are. They're both a little less than half of the time if we took like a negative 10 to 10 or something, because 0 is neither. But there are systems that treat 0 as signed, but the default is it's neither. And so if you look at all the numbers, though, there's a higher dimension, essentially, in a metaphorical way. There's a higher dimension, and you could make it a real mathematical analogy, of how many numbers there are from negative 10 to 10 compared to what 0 contributes or not. So, and that's like on a graph, when we're looking at a 2D thing, the edge of like an inequality being filled in. I'm not sure if anyone saw my live stream a while ago where I was like, hey, I came up with this thing called meta-inequalities. I wonder what we can do with that. Well, that ties in because the meta inequalities are essentially the graph way of visualizing the stuff I'm going to show in the video. So this is a video that I swear when this comes out, they gotta show this to all the teachers. The teachers can change the way they teach about these concepts. Or because the false seeds are getting planted and not being tended to when you actually learn things on the proper scale. Like when, now you know fractions, now you know negatives, now you know exponents and stuff. So you got to sometimes revisit concepts. And I was shocked when I went through this at how many I didn't expect, that the opposite held true more than half of the time of what I expected. Also, I've sort of gone down the rabbit hole of linguistic things. The really long thing in the thumbnail right now that this one was harder to pronounce. Let me find the better one. That's what I was doing a minute ago. I want the better one of those. I have this in my notes. So, the better one's longer. Warning. So combology is a thing. Now, combology and comboism are different. Comboism it's not a religion, but that is it's closer, comboism is closer to my belief system compared to combology being a teaching methodology or a form of studying science. Combology relates to the study of combinations, components of things, as well as connections between things. And I'll explain more precisely about combology later, but I've been having fun attaching prefixes and suffixes to stuff in the writing I've been doing for my book, where they're awesome. It's just really cool how this is one of the good things about the English language, and many other languages have similar things. But I mean, the English language has some ridiculous flaws that we can't just let the alphabet evolve throughout all of history and then just stop. Yeah, so the alphabet froze, essentially, because now people are like, what do you mean kick C and Q and X out of it? But we got to update a lot of things. So many words do backwards, confusing things. So hopefully those get upgraded someday. The book I'm writing, a lot of it is, since it's started about why threeven should be in the dictionary, now that's more the beginning part, and it builds from why threeven should be in the dictionary to why humans should count in base 6. And in between is sort of like why 2, 3, and 6 happen to be all over reality and math. Like, it is stunning. Like, I was like, everywhere I look, I'm like, okay, I wonder if there's anything inside molecules that's interesting. Okay, let's look at the smallest scale that is known, quarks. Oh, they're made up of, there's 6 types of quark. Like, things like that. There's, and it's like a 1 times 2 times 3 relationship. The amount of times that it's 2 of 3, and technically there's 1 of those total. So 1 times 2 times 3 shows up so many places. And the fact that our base is 1 times 2 times 5, and the implications and consequences of that idiocy is unfortunately, I have to address as a big portion of the book. Let me see. I have a lot of random things I wanted to mention here, so I have to think a little bit at a time. And we will visit the classroom, as I said. But first, a few last notes. I also did this stunt with the door over there. You saw some of it in the last main combo class episode if you watched it. Shattering the window. There's an older combo class episode where I broke that window a bit. The window was already breaking. We knew we had to replace the door. The door is now replaced. But in the meantime, before, the window was already broken. So I asked, there's a long story about there were years where I didn't use this studio as much and where my dad was like sort of living in here at times. And so long and complicated about I used to record music here. Then my dad used it for a long time and various things. But I requested at that point, I wasn't using the interior of it much, but I was like, okay, the window's already broken. Yo, you're going to replace it. Can I break the window? And he was like, sure. So I broke the window. This was a grade or two ago. And said something about injuries. And I was like, this is going to be funny and ironic because I'm going to do something that looks really dangerous at the beginning of when I'm like, okay, well, now maybe I should be safer because here are all the injuries I accumulated this grade. It was in one of the finale episodes. So that was supposed to just be its own separate, singular, ironic moment. It wasn't supposed to have a pattern, but there was a pattern. So then the window was gonna get fully replaced. I'd only broken a little of it. Or maybe I forget what happened the first time exactly. So then I broke it again. Like really broke it. And that's in parts of the next main combo class. I mean the last main combo class episode on my other channel. And then something else happens with the door that I put in for a few frames of the last combo class episode, very briefly, a sneak preview, but mostly happens in the next main combo class episode. But when I did that, when I destroyed the door, I did it really stupidly. I was like embarrassed to show some of these shots because I was like, oh my God, why wasn't I thinking? And it was that sorry, a lot of things on my mind. Sometimes I have to catch my brain for a second when doing the live stream. But with the door, I got all this stuff in my eye, and it was really dumb. It was like, I also inhaled some of it, I think. So I was like coughing up stuff, and the eye was crazy. It was like all these little shards of literally like this safety glass stuff were like in my eye, and they would like crawl out of the eye because the eye got them out. It was crazy. So that was this like mild injury I dealt with for a little bit while studying. Okay, I got the word here. Let me try and pronounce it. Well, wait, I have the document here. Combology. Okay, yeah. Wait, no. That's one. Here's the thing, though. I did a lot where I put them as like ology, onomy, and that sounds better in a way, but it makes it longer and is sort of unnecessary to have the Y's. So like combologyology versus combologology, or maybe combologology. So language is weird. We have a lot of options for how we can extend things. But the long word, I'll need to get a better version because that has all the Y's in it and stuff. But the thing here is what I study and teach. Well, what I study myself would maybe be this ology. I guess while you're watching it, you can't see the thumbnail, but it's combology something. That with another ology is what I'm talking about right now, sort of. Or maybe we'll say that this is that word. But there are different layers. They actually imply different things. Ography, onomy, ology, they do imply different things. And so I've been having a lot of fun putting prefixes and suffixes together. But I got this injury, and then there was all these problems with the camera people, and etc. So for all of that, I'm sorry I have not been posting much on this channel. I do have huge plans for combo class, and those include much more frequent posting. It's just been a pretty crazy year of a lot of random mini hardships of various sorts. So, let's see. I'm going to check our comments real quick, and then we're going to take a quick peek at the classroom. Oh, that's awesome. Freshly W says they passed their class because of me, and it helped them graduate from college because of it. That is so cool. Thank you. I really like hearing things like that. That is my favorite thing ever is if someone tells me that one of my videos helped them in some way, or that they found like a part of it really artfully, really significantly well done. But like on the mathematical side, like helping somebody, or if there's something that if my videos made somebody do something, I really like that. If my videos made someone decide to read a book or decide to go on the OEIS and look up number stuff on their own or whatever, I really like that. But of course, that's like worse for me in the algorithm. I should want people not doing anything except watching my videos. Sorry, I just get I can lose my train of thought sometimes. I get like sort of panic attacky at times, and it's weird. People don't really know me for being the panic attacky type. But during the past few months, when things get hard, my brain can sort of revert into its extra introverted side. There are many sides to me. I'm at least a dodecagon. So, I'm not going to be able to answer all of the comments, but I will look at them a little more in a bit. And thank you especially to the people who help with the moderation and have helped with the Discord, such as Magic Fellow and Stick. And extra thanks for Freshly W as well for sharing details about things they learned that helped them pass their class. That's cool. I have studied a lot more math. And recently I know more about math than ever because you do forget some things, but I take a lot of notes and I've been studying way faster than I've been forgetting anything. And as in general, that's how it works. You learn more than you forget. And when you learn something, you have this mental memory where it sort of sticks, and it's easier to relearn than to learn. And so I am getting better and better at being able to confidently deliver my mathematical stuff, know how to phrase everything, know what is the coolest connections I better mention. All of that, I'm getting better and better. I've taken a pause because I've like sort of gotten into a weird mental loop and situational difficulties related to the filming side of it. But the mathematical side of it, I know more than ever, and I have a larger backlog of ideas than ever. Okay, to share something positive, why is today a big day for me? Throughout this hard year, some people may know that a while in the past, I've had various problems. I've had to get surgeries because my bones were completely messed up in both my hips and various things like that. Here, wait. I'm just looking at this, so I shouldn't put that in the corner. Wait, then I'll look more centered if I'm looking at myself right here. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense to have it in the corner when there's other stuff going on, but I might show other stuff on the computer, but not at this second. Now, what is cool is that despite having a kind of hard year, and at least just a very complicated year, there's a lot of crazy details I'll share later in a main combo class episode, like a finale or snack break type episode. But basically, over this year, the good news is today. Why is it a big day for me? Because I have passed now another time. I've gone more than a year, and my goal is to remain with this, that I don't drink alcohol. And I used to have a problem with alcohol, not during the early combo class days, and I had a little bit of what some would consider a relapse. I'm not sure the right way to define it, like sort of testing out whether I was able to moderate drinking after taking like a long time off it, and realizing I'm just not the type of person who can moderate it. And so now I haven't drank in a year again, and that is pretty cool. And so that's something I do plan on keeping up. I'm just basically a non-drinker, even at parties and stuff. But that's cool. And I got kind of gained a lot of weight during last grade. So I've basically lost all of the weight that I had. I'm like normal weight that I often have been throughout my life. I don't mean normal like everyone's the same weight or whatever, but for what my body is when it's kind of healthy. I mean, when I was healthier throughout my life, I had good muscles too. Now I am not very muscular, but I can rebuild those. But I do a lot of walking, and you'd be shocked at, I don't know how different people's metabolisms are. So, I'm not a nutritionist or a whatever this is going to be, but for me, never eating fast food out. I do a lot of cooking on my own, but just like rarely eating something that's like the really great, like burger places that are the fast food chains or whatever, and taking long walks. That literally was all I needed to lose like 30 pounds in a couple months. And so that's just something to keep in mind, if anyone has trouble. Not that it will be that easy for everyone necessarily, but something to keep in mind. It seems to be that diet and just like having your body moving, because I haven't really been running or anything recently. I used to do a lot of types of exercise, but now I got leg surgeries. So now it's like still feels sort of like an accomplishment when I walk to and from a long thing at the marina for a few hours. And I go in periods where sometimes for a month, I'll like almost every day go down there. And I did that especially for the 4-leaf clover episode. I was going every day to the marina for multiple hours. And it became this habit that even when I was done with the episode, I was like, oh, well, if I don't know what to do for the next hour, I should walk down there because it's good for me and maybe I'll see something cool. And if I'm just thinking about ideas at a particular moment, it's like walking might make me think of an idea better or in a different context or whatever. And I do try and film there too. So I've also gotten some crazy nature shots. And sometimes in my videos, they fit. Like they just don't happen to fit perfectly with a lot of times I would put something in a video. But there are nature shots for when the time lines up right for them to work, whether it's their theme or that they have some particular gap where text would go or they relate to some particular shape or whatever. I have a lot of really, really cool nature shots. And there's also a lot of experiments I've been doing with filmmaking. I have gone kind of too deep for a minute. Now I'm back to just like, okay, I got to film all my ideas. I don't overanalyze and do them. But I have a lot of shots that are really cool things in slow motion and really cool things backwards, because those are fun experiments to try. I don't like special effects in my videos, but I consider it close enough to like a different view of reality that maybe some alien or bug is viewing. Of backwards, maybe a little more debatable, but backwards or sometimes sped up as well as slowed down, sped up or slowed down things. Like clouds moving by, I'll speed up and stuff. And, or like plants sometimes doing things because they do things on the big scale. So I have some really cool ones. It turns out dice, every time you throw a bunch of dice, they do these like microscopic seeming in terms of how quick they go or how the eye notices them. Really cool dances and spins. It looks so cool when you look at a normal, like throw a bunch of dice on the table and see how they like scatter. Because you have to throw them enough that they like bounce a tiny bit, sort of. And sometimes when you throw them, one of them will spin it looks like a few times. But when you look at it slowed down, sometimes like it spun like 100 times and then fell or something. There's the craziest things when I was filming dice in slow motion. And not like coincidences, like it just happened. That's how it works. These scales of things we don't notice. And cubes bouncing off each other is one of them. Or almost cubes or whatever. Got those rounded edges. And of course, anything in the real world could only be an approximation of a cube. Now, I'm going to take one more peek at the comments before it might be another little gap of that. But then, why don't we go out and see the classroom? I am going to have to be only whispers for that portion. But I just want to, at the very least, show... Well, actually, that makes sense to be the end of the stream. We'll visit the classroom after I wrap up my thought, which it's not going to be a super long stream, but I might rant for another 10 or 20 minutes. And then we'll go to the classroom, and then... there's not really anything important I want to show you there apart from the shadows, which I already mentioned here. But the shadows look cooler out there. You won't be able to see now, but if I filmed it on my camera, it would be like... right there, right behind it in a boring way, because it would be at the same angle, the film source and the light source. Now, of course, the best is candles. Actually, yeah, no, I should definitely get a candle for, okay, when we go, I don't have like a lighter or anything here. I'd have to get that inside. Maybe I'll run and get a lighter and a candle, or maybe I'll just use the flashlight, depending on how much I want to do in the classroom. First, to anybody in the comment, thank you so much of everyone leaving random thoughts who are combo lords of various sorts. And Some commenters are noting, like Pokemon Hacks 43, who is also a helper on the Discord, says that the exercise does less than the weight loss, sort of to synopsize that. I mean, the exercise does less than the diet for things like losing weight in response to something I mentioned. And yeah, I don't know the details about that. I'm just noting what worked for me, but I'm not sure how that would apply to other people. But for my body in the future, if I ever get fat or something, I'll just need to remind myself. I mean, if it's a problem, I'm not like nothing against people of any weight. But for me, my body felt better when it was closer to this weight, or hopefully like a more muscular version of this. It's hard for me to exercise now because the thing I had in my legs, not only do I have metal in each hip right now, if you look at the x-rays, it's a crazy looking screw. It's like that thing is in me. It's like you see the bone and then you see this like crazily giant metal screw and you're like, what? But yeah, that's in each of my legs. And surprisingly, I can do a lot of great stuff, like walk really far and stuff. Oh man, do I have beef with so many aspects of the hospital system, but the surgeon, Dr. Grimsrud, that guy, the fact that he did a good job made the rest of my life okay. Now, I have to mention something right now. The last year has not been easy either, living in America and foreseeing things. I'm not going to get super political, but the reason I bring it up is that I really need my healthcare, and the current government is trying to shut down healthcare for as many people as they can. So in the United States, very hard to not go into details, but I'll say, oh boy, am I not a fan of the stuff going on currently. And so I'm looking at my future and thinking maybe I'll need to move the classroom. I'm not positive, but there also could be times I want to move it temporarily to explore or whatever. But in reference to stuff I mentioned earlier, there's a chance that that I might not have access to that particular location. I might have to find another outdoor zone to put all my clocks and desk and such. But it needs to have trees in the background and it needs a fence-like thing to put the clocks. Don't worry. And it needs room for all of it because it's not about the background as much, except for the trees and maybe the fence. Now, with that, I'm foreseeing if the current government keeps getting away with what they're currently doing, I might have to move to another country because I don't make that much money, and that's so I can study math and make these videos. If I need to make a bunch of money, I would be tutoring math all day, and I would not be making videos. So I want to be able to make my videos, my books and stuff, which means living on a really low income. I cook all my own food. I don't do super fancy stuff. All my stuff I buy used, and I'm okay with that for now, But given that, I can't throw healthcare into the mix. Do you know what my leg surgeries would have cost me if I didn't have healthcare? Over $100,000 to be able to walk. I still had to pay about $3,000 with the insurance. So, and way more if you add up all the other stuff. That's literally, no, that wasn't for the leg, sorry, wait. That wasn't for the leg surgeries. That was for when I broke my femur. And let me get this clear. The leg surgeries might have been that much. I'm not sure. But what that was for, remembering it now, was the time before the leg surgeries when those were undiagnosed, but where I broke my femur, the biggest bone in your body. And I was in the hospital then for like a week. And then I was in another week or couple weeks actually in another place because I had a broken leg. So that was a time where I did have to stay in the hospital for a while. So it makes sense it was a lot. But $100,000 to try and fix a broken femur and have me stay in the hospital for like a week, and then they're like, wouldn't even let me in there. So I had to stay at this super, really not great nursing facility. It was all right, but like, it was not designed for my circumstance at all. It was a bunch of other, like, much older people. It was a nursing facility. It wasn't for people with broken legs, but Kaiser was like, that's where we're sending you. But, so that was, if that happened, like, I'm going to have to get surgeries in my shoulders someday. That is a grim fact about my life. And I want everyone to remember, when I bring up the grim parts, don't see them as sad. Of course, I get sad sometimes, but you can see it all as motivational because I have a lot of happy times in between those, and you have to be strong and resilient and stick with some interesting core ideas that, I don't know if interesting is the right word to describe it, but you got to have a lot of, drive in the right direction to be able to get past hard times and still like marvel, enjoy at certain things at certain times. And so remember, if I mention darker things, see them as motivational, that I've gotten through things and not as sad, But one grim fact is that my shoulders have the same issue that was in both hips. So at some point, I'm going to need shoulder surgeries, and I'm not supposed to lift heavy stuff because if I lift, and I still do, but I try not to lift really heavy stuff. It's like, how are you not going to lift some heavy stuff, But I have to be careful with my arms because they can really hurt sometimes if I lift heavy stuff. And the hurting is like also a sign that it's speeding up when I would need a surgery there. There's a chance I won't need surgery in them ever, but it's more likely I will. And so I can't do that here with the current system if they keep being able to do what they want, because if they continue the direction they're going, people like me, so presumably me, would not have healthcare. So, and to anyone doubting that, that is an undeniable fact that they have canceled many, many dollars worth that will cancel people from having healthcare. Undeniable, it's fact. So if anyone ever tries to, if I say something political and they're like, oh no, but this, the political things I'm saying are researched to me like the mathematical things. I research these things in a mathematical way. If I say something like that, it's, you better have a good source that disproves it, because I look up several sources for things. So, and sources are very hard to find unbiased versions, but I try and look at as different of sources as I can. You hear it from all perspectives and then apply your logic. So it is undeniable fact that if things go down the path that they're currently going, which I don't know if it's necessarily more likely or not that they will, but that I would not have healthcare, would need a surgery, would owe $100,000 again, and would have to quit combo class. So I'm like considering moving to another country because I'm going to see what happens in the next, 3 years or so. But who knows? Because I am, when I say I'm not a fan of what's going on, that's understating it. Now, to move on. Moving forward, what were the other things I wanted to mention? Now, there's an assortment of like weird little either mishaps or good things from the past month or so, but I'll save those for when I can phrase them better. And what were the other things I needed to mention? I guess there's not anything that's crucial, but the core synopsis of a lot of this is that I'm sorry when I take breaks from combo class posting as frequently. It usually means, A, there's something going on in my life that makes it a crazier period, which this has been a really crazy year compared to a lot. And it's like, my parents are only going to get separated once. So the house is going to get figured out in some form or another. So that won't be something conflicting with my film set or where I sleep or whatever at some point. Or maybe I'll just move to a really cheap country when I can. I don't know. But in any case, the core synopsis is either that's happening or... No, not or. And I am probably... Well, no. Or, it's the type of or and. And ors? It's or and or something. What I mean is that might be happening. One thing that's definitely happening is that I'm working on longer projects. When I'm working on shorter projects, you'll see a lot of shorter projects because I work on combo class like stuff too much. Like if you include research and writing. Because the research and writing can, really extend into me just spending hours typing up random ideas that connect this to that or whatever. or maybe, hours filming dice in slow motion or something. So I do spend too much time. I haven't been spending enough time with my friends and stuff. Or the last month, I haven't been spending enough time going to the marina to exercise or whatever. Various things. But I need to switch the ratio of how much I've been doing that is just writing stuff, because I keep increasing the gap of, how much I've put out and how much ideas I've written that are ready to film. One of the problems is when I get to an introverted phase, then I don't communicate with people as much. And communication is key to working with people in different ways. And I have worked with different editors at different times that makes it a lot easier for me, because when I edit a project, I take it too seriously and spend too long on it. And I'm going to find a way to, at some point in the future, work with various editors such that I can focus on other things. And I will I'll assemble the episodes I've edited and the moments of them that I think capture various things about my style, for them to use. And I still would want to direct every episode, as in, say, this is the order things happen, this is the location the camera's looking, this is what's on the table in view, all of that, this making the episode I want to do, apart from the editing and maybe soundtracking, are ones that I'm a little less of a fan of. That I'm totally fine doing sometimes, but I could do way more of the other stuff if I was focused on I'm way better at being the ideas guy than the finish and deliver the product guy. Let me get a sip of water. Okay. Now, I was in the middle of a synopsis of this and I got sidetracked. Treat that all as an asterisk, footnote, or, it's choose your own adventure. We went there and now we're back. Now, the rest of the synopsis I was going to say is that I'm sorry when I'm gone. Trust that I am still doing, at any given point, a lot of work on the type of things that you probably enjoy me to make. And you will start seeing some other sides of it. But if you keep an open mind to it, I think you folks will really appreciate both the writings I'm going to put out and the music I'm going to put out. If anyone likes the writing stuff, let me know. Maybe it'll encourage me to write stuff more quickly. Or, not like how much I write, because I write it more quickly, but to revisit my texts, to edit them in a form I want to publish somewhere. There's a really big, breaking the ice feeling to me, where I'm like, oh, the first thing I publish has to be really good. But that doesn't have to be the case. So at some point, I may start just posting a lot of my writings, because it would let me go further. I've also considered something like doing audio only, podcast videos, because I also have some really cool time-lapsey shots of things that I'm like, oh, that's really cool, but it's cooler when you watch it for a minute for this whole shot or whatever. So I was thinking of making some videos that are just audio over more random correlated types of nature or dice or clocks or whatever. So if anyone likes those, maybe I would do more of those, or I'm going to test them anyway, see how much I like them. To be honest, even when people give their feedback, with my combo class and this channel, all my combo class projects, I always revert to wanting to be in control of the ideas and whatever feels natural and better for me. It's hard not to do that, regardless of if I know the viewers want this or the algorithm wants that. It's hard not to just do what I want, but there's enough options of what I think I could do that are among the I want, that people can steer me toward those. So, if people's input can steer me toward these are the things I would do sooner or do longer or do more episodes of that subtype or whatever. So some things that will be incorporated into Combo Class, both through videos that reference these things and as projects, will be writings and music. And when you see those, although they're not going to be called Combo Class, they're going to be called by Demotro. But that's going to be the name of the book, by Demotro. And then the author name's going to be Threvens and Throd numbers. No, that's not it. It actually has an infinite title. or at least the text of the book's infinite. You can write, who says, no, who would write an infinite book? But you'll have to see which glitches do or don't occur when we hit our divide by 3 errors when that book comes out. But with those, if you keep an open mind, despite the fact that they don't say combo class, but they do say demotro, I think you will really like them because my mind has a particular way it thinks and set of themes and symbols and things I like, and so they are very combo class like. For example, the things in the lyrics of my songs, which are slightly more cartoonish or exaggerated versions of things that happened to me, done in a quite surrealist way because I emphasize the multisyllabic rhymes a lot. I'm really into multisyllabic rhyme patterns. So with that being a big theme, you can't always tell like a clear linear story or whatever, and I don't always want to either. That's not always the type that I would like to hear. So my lyrics are vague, but they have a lot of references to mathematical concepts. Not like direct, it's not like teaching you math in a song, because I gotta be honest, I find that cheesy. And so it's the type of thing like, even if the algorithm would probably like it, I could pump out, this is how you do this thing. At some point, maybe I would try doing like music that is purely educational, but honestly, it feels cheesy to me. So it's hard to bring myself to do that when the music I write, I don't want to sound cheesy. I want it to sound like good music, So, like a math lesson, if I want to make a good math lesson, I want to either make a written thing that probably includes diagrams or a video. So, if I'm making music, I want to make music. I want it to be good to listen to. Or the lyrics interesting in their own ways that maybe are better suited for music or whatever. But, like, the things there, they do have a lot of mathematical references, or even the structure of a lot of things are the sort of thing that if you like the type of math thing that I do, like the extensions of concepts to a next dimension, or the things that are strange or similar about numbers like 0 or 1 or -1 or infinity, or, things, strange patterns within math, a lot of those things are referenced or done as structures in ways in my lyrics and books. And this book I'm going to make very experimental. A lot of the things I wrote, they might get cut. Some of them are too experimental because I got to remember to stay on theme. I have enough facts about 2s, 3s, and 6s that I got to give the facts. I can't just all get, meta-structural with it or whatever. But it's going to be the weirdest math textbook ever. And I'm going to make it at least 51% math textbook so that we can go with it being not... It has bits of fiction in it as well that are hypothetical things that might be hypothetical consequences that could in the future or present be happening or explaining things like us using base 10 or the values of base 6 instead. So some of that was better to tell in a fictional portion. And I am going to be very clear. I'm going to be very, very clear with how it's laid out. There will be rules told beforehand of which parts might have fiction. So that I don't want to trick any viewers or whatever. You'll know if I say something happened, if it's on a certain type of what the page says or where the page is. You will know whether any references to the real world are taking place in this world or a particular fiction world. Now, with that, so if I do too much of that, I have to call it the most mathematical fiction book. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll do that next. But I want this one to be the weirdest math book because it's not just fiction. The book has some pages that there's some errors. The theme of the book is errors. And so there's glitches in the structure and stuff. And I got really into language. There's glitches in how you use prefixes and suffixes and sentence structures and stuff. So it's going to be the weirdest math book, but 51 or more % of it will be facts about the first 3 numbers, all the numbers I mentioned earlier, facts about those numbers, and about Mostly it's about multiples of 6. It's about three even numbers. And it's sort of one of the amounts of things in it to a degree of what the big theme sort of is first third or so is sort of about small numbers. Like not, and to a degree, maybe as the book goes along, it goes, one progression is talking more about numbers and then introducing, what are our representations for them. And I've been researching language and thinking about it in terms of math, and it is so interesting the way these things that I use in language casually that I never noticed. Like, here's one that I'm thinking of making a short collecting a few of these, but one of them that I really liked is, the word preposterous? Have you ever thought about how that word is pre-post? And that is actually the word origin, that to be before and after at the same time would be this feeling that we call preposterous. So, I never noticed that preposterous has two contradictory prefixes and is basically defined by being these prefixes that clash. And there are other really interesting cases of that, where one word you maybe pronounce a different way, or maybe just think of it in a different context. And it's like, oh my God, the word root of that is crazy. When I was looking up the word roots of combo class, because in my life, I'll tell more stories someday about why I settled on that title. It has many meanings to me, but I am a comboist and a combologist, so, which I guess learned through combo class, so we could see it as circular. But in any case, with the combology, okay, I'm getting too sidetracked. This is in the middle of what I called a synopsis, but then I decided I should wrap up all the details, synopsis, and then just a quick look out there, because it's getting later and later. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to talk outside that loud or I'll be bugging the neighbors. So, anyway, a big theme I've been studying is language, and there's the bits of language that are like the smallest unit under one way of looking at it are called morphemes. And those and other related words that are very similar to the pattern of you have numbers or you have digits. And then from digits, maybe you have multi-digit numbers. And maybe then you have equations out of those. Is really, really similar to these things that you put together, such as prefixes, suffixes, and other sounds, to make a word. And the prefixes and suffixes are awesome because they have a pre-attached meaning and you can make combos with them. So, in fact, that's a new term that I want to popularize. Here's a new term I want people to use, is combo term. So if you have a combo term, what that is it's not an actual mathematical term, but it's a combo of prefixes and suffixes that you know the inherent meaning from. There might be an actual name for that, so I'll research that more before I say you should definitely call it that. But there's all these really, really cool things about language I've realized. And one important note about how sentences can be weird is that, did you know sometimes sometimes even odd evens, there's these sentences I've been making that are just ridiculous but make sense, because I'll do the sentences later, but even means three really important different things and other side things, but three really big important things. And it's hard when I write. It's I want to use the word even in the natural way, even this number can do that. This number can even do that. But then it's so confusing because I'm writing this book all about evens and odds and threevens and throds. So it's okay, so even, for example, you could say, and then another one is the word one, the way that's used. You could say a lot of numbers are even. 2 is 1. And so that bit on its own is 2 is 1, but it means 2 is one of them. And things have too many meanings per one word. That I'm not as much of a fan of. It makes it hard for me to write and be clear. I always like, I have too much wanting to be clear about things in certain writings, even though I may seem like a chaos lord at times. But remember, sometimes people bring out the side that they know must contrast with their what they would do as a reflex otherwise. We're a result of our actions, not always what we would do naturally. So maybe at times the reason I like bring the chaotic improvisational mood out of myself is because at other times that's not my default. And you need contrast. Contrast is one of the big C's in combo theory. Oh, yeah, but what I was going to say is when I looked up the word roots of combo, you find like all my favorite words. It's like co at the beginning of that. That co is like together. And sometimes com as a whole thing, but at least co. And it's like coincidence. I love coincidences and like to what degree they are synchronicities or to what degree they imply causality or to what degree they, are so coincidental they imply something really rare. So coincidental they prove you're probably in a book that someone who thinks it's funny to write this wrote. But no, I'm kidding. You're not in a book. But I don't know. I can't say for sure. Probably not in a book. Now, with all the language stuff, a lot of my favorite words had the root co. And I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but when I looked at some of them, it was like, oh man, a lot of my favorite words all have the same root of it means together, essentially, or with. So, thank you for being combo lording with me. And yeah, co is one of those prefixes you could attach, make your own combo terms. Make a co-combo term, whatever you think that should mean. Some of them you can create your own meaning for. For example, let me tell you just a word that people don't use that I think people should use. I'm not going to define it. I do have a definition for it. The definition is in my book, but I will probably make an episode about it before long too. But so you can have a mononym, right? Could you have an infinonym? And what about other things like a nullonym or like a halfonym or something? What would these mean? Could you have a negative one-onym? A negative mono? What is negative one? Well, I guess we would need to attach a prefix for anti-mononym maybe. Is an anti-mononym a negative one? Because, okay, I won't go into the full pattern. It's really cool. A lot of cool patterns with how you attach things. The coolest thing to me I've been noticing is there's a lot of similarities in the ways that you could build prime numbers or you could take digits and bases to build multi-digit numbers. That should just be on one side here. With the ways that you take these different aspects, like you have different ways of doing units like syllables or letters or stuff that form words, that form sentences, that then form paragraphs and other rules and stuff. But overall, beyond the sentence, you're sort of in the text. Or you could take a paragraph, could be an intermediate if you want. But I've been having a lot of fun writing really what I think is clever lines to use in videos or clever things that are they work when they look like they shouldn't. Like a sentence that makes sense but looks like nonsense, or like the topic of my next main combo class episode you'll see before too long. And there will be a bonus math video on this channel tomorrow, so that'll be fun also. But it's not like one of my grandiose projects, but it is still really cool, the bonus video I'm putting tomorrow. It's really good facts still. And it's from the 3 book research. So it is a chunk of it, and it gets distracted, and I put in a lot of other facts because I couldn't help myself. So it's about the infinite repeating string 6, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 repeating. I'm half joking that the bonus video is about that, but it's partially about that. And I'm half joking because sometimes the 6s are 0s. But I'm also half joking about that because there's other parts of the video. So that will be coming as soon as I finish getting the audio right. I have it edited apart from I want to check the audio. So, and then of course export and upload and stuff. But that will be tomorrow. Hopefully early. I'll try and get it before too long in the day, but I'm not positive. And the combo class one, I'm not sure. But when I got sidetracked by this, what I wanted to note, the linguistic stuff, the problem is now I'm over analyzing everything I say in the video. Every time I in the combo class video, there's a few more like voiceovers I've been filming. And whenever I film these little filler lines, I'm like, I feel like I can't use the word even because of all those things I explained. But then there's like every word is like that. It's like, okay, I can't say powerful next to number because there is a thing called a powerful number. I can't say unusual right in front of a number because there's a thing called an unusual number. And I'm going to recommend to people in the future, when you name a term, give it something that's not used as a normal adjective in front of number, because then it makes it harder to talk about numbers in a fun way. It's like, what? Now I can't call numbers I can't, if I say a number's powerful, I have to use more syllables and rearrange it because powerful number on its own implies that. So, and some are like unusual numbers and stuff. It's like weird numbers. Like, what if I want to say it's it's a weird number in a circumstance? You don't want to say 3 is powerful because it doesn't fit that definition. So even if the context is like, oh, none of the other numbers can do this, but whoa, 3 is really powerful. Oh, nope. So that's not as big of a problem as I'm noting. I'm noting that that's my overthinking about it. And it's just an intuitive, inherent consequence of how languages work, and that the English language gets some cool traits and some really dumb traits from being a combo of a lot of different languages. So once again, we encounter a combo. That combo didn't get its contrast right. So that combo messed up the contrast and the ratios of the combo. So there's problems with the language, but it also has cool aspects. And I just like, now that I've been thinking about it, you notice it everywhere. Like, I'm going to give you a few examples. The word random means I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I said the word random in the video because part of it could be explained by imagine a random number here. And so I was like, okay, even before I explain what I mean by what range we're doing, how we're measuring random or whatever, first I need to note, I guess, that I'm not using random ever in the casual way, which means not following the typical pattern. Because the context I was using that we usually use random number in meant following the usual pattern. It's like, what would a random number do is the opposite meaning as, oh, that number's being really random. So that's like what do you call that when it's like an anti-something-nym? It's not just an antonym. It is an antonym, but more. It's a meta-antonym? I don't know. But an anti-meta-antonym. But something. There's got to be some combo that works for it. I want to see equations with these. I want my viewers to try and come up with equations. What are prefixes and suffixes that add up to each other? Simple example, you could argue that maybe in some circumstances, for some types of more binary concept, anti equals anti, So, what are other equations you can come up with? Like, here's one I came up with. 1 plus 1 plus 1 going on is all, So, like, some concepts that we use words for. And in that case, I don't mean 1 as the number. I mean, like, something like once could work. Like once, every time or something. So what about infinite limits? What are ones that if you take one and then it's like a dimension smaller. So you're like little infinitesimal amounts, but if you looked at a limit, you would get there or something. Because I forget the main examples I found, but there are some that worked pretty well where one approaches another. Oh, here's one. Semi. Oh yeah, I don't know why I said plus, because that's not how we would use those in the equations, I don't think. They always act, I guess, more multiplicative. But semi, etc., going on forever, approaches non. So I want to see equations like that. We have some other notes about English being 3 languages in a trench coat and so on, which I agree with Emerson. I think it's more so too Greek and Latin, but what would you? I don't know as much about the whole history, so I'm not like well studied in language like I am with math. But when I find a corner of something, I study it a lot. So I know language like about as well as I knew math 10 years ago or something, or 5 years ago maybe. I don't know. Where there are corners of it that I know all these weird details about, but I don't really know the big picture of how the English language came together. I know, like, a certain subtopic that is a particular, there's so many of them. There are a lot with fun names too. And there are some that I want to show you folks. So I might include them in my shorts, because some of them I was like, maybe this should be a short too in the notes. And also bonus videos or stuff, or more language videos, which they relate to math. I'm finding all these connections between language and math that I think would be really cool to show you all the examples I found. And some of those almost work better in a written way. So I'm also considering like publishing like a much messier set of notes, or almost possibly some form of prequel online to my book, because I don't know how soon my book will come. But for now, I'm focused on the videos, and I want to return to filming all of the ideas I've collected. Now, it won't be that hard because I have all these notes that are backed up, and I have a lot of my old notes are very messy for me to find. Some are on hard drives or this or that, paper notebooks or whatever. But most of the notes I've taken in the past couple years, I have not only in a few computer documents, but they also have keywords that I'll try to put. Not always, but I try to. Where some of the keywords, for example, are short, bonus video, or episode. And so then, like, if I search one of those, there are so many ideas there. So when I get to the right setup where there's not crazy stuff going on in my life, and I break back into feeling more natural about posting more casual stuff each day, that I'm not that worried about like the volume being perfect levels, or like not worried about, did I capture every related connection to this that I would have wanted to mention, and just start posting more stuff. So I have all the ideas ready. I just got to get back with the other components. But let's visit the classroom after I take one more peek at the chat and see that. Although I was in the middle of a synopsis. Okay, the synopsis will end like this. Although I'm sorry I haven't been posting much, I have been writing a lot of cool things, and the main next thing to keep an eye out for is tomorrow's math video on this channel. And then I'm not going to make a clear schedule of when other stuff's coming yet. And I do want to get to some point before long where I make a clear schedule. But for now, I'm just going to try and post a lot of stuff. Because for some reason in my brain, if I like post a bunch of stuff, like, as many days as I can out of a few weeks, then I feel more okay with not being that critical of them. When there's just one, then I feel more critical of it. But then if that makes me do zero for that reason, that's even worse. And that reminds me of an expression that I have to remind myself of. There's an expression that goes, perfection is the enemy of good. And I can feel that sometimes, where if I'm perfectionist about something, it'll make me do a worse job, because then I won't do the form of finishing it and putting it out, because I'm too perfectionist, and then you end up with nothing out, which is worse. It would be worse if I made an inaccurate video. That would be worse than nothing. But simply making a video that's not perfect, but is fully accurate and contains enough interesting details of some sorts, then that sort of thing. In any case, I will try to get back to remembering. This is my bonus channel. It's also easy to forget because this one has more subscribers than the other channel from some shorts that have gone crazy over the years. Not really over the years, but like a year or two ago. Some shorts going really crazy made this channel have way more subscribers than the main channel I make. But that sometimes throws my brain off. I have to remember, I don't care, because the algorithm, my goal, here I'm going to admit something big. As much as I like making videos for you folks, the videos are really for people in the distant future and aliens and robots in the distant future. You know, that's what I hope, that as I build my combo class, that certain things are ahead enough of their time that they'll get revisited or seen by some form of alien. I'm partially joking there. I'll explain the partially at some point. But my point is, if I'm making videos for any potential aliens to watch in the future, and by the way, I don't actually think aliens are currently it's pretty likely they have never landed on Earth. But not that we know for sure. But, you know, it's not against the laws of reality that an alien could be watching these light rays of combo class, which would take a while to hit them. You know, it would take a while for them to see the Earth, so they'd be seeing this already in the future. So even the live things I'm doing now are sort of me being here. If the live stream was off, I try and make my actions for the aliens in the distant future. And in case they're like sort of like my version of a god to some degree. Not exactly. I'm agnostic. But, and whatever religion anyone has is fine, as long as you take the good parts of it. But the aliens, to me, motivate me in a similar way to that, where I imagine if there were or are aliens watching me, what would be the demotro I would want them to see? They don't have to see perfect, any of us, but what, you know, the aliens, they don't want to see, here's one of my big thoughts too about it. I believe, and maybe this sounds crazy, but it leads to me doing good things. Based on this chance that aliens could, at some point in the present or future, watch my actions or anyone's actions, or that maybe it's a future robot. Maybe that's alien enough. Maybe alien just refers to something like a way future human, whatever name an evolved human is called or whatever. But with the aliens, what it helps me with is many things. One of which is it's a reminder of the value of always staying honest, because I tell myself the aliens, they might not be able to see all of it. They might be missing some data. So they might need to rely, if it's ever helpful or necessary, they might need to rely on things I've said that are like stories of things that have occurred to me or things like that. And so if even once the alien hears me purposefully tell an untrue thing on my videos, they will not trust any of the other things I say on my videos. It's pretty easy to break someone's trust, like especially if you're not like their friend or family. Like I'm a creator who hopefully you see sort of like a teacher, or I don't know what role you see me as, your friend or your teacher or whatever. But it's a different role that if you know someone's like purposefully lying to you, it doesn't take that much to want to stop watching their videos. But it is crazily common in this world of scams and weirdness. So remember, whether or not you care about my alien somewhat analogy, somewhat belief system, the value of things like honesty. And that is a big part of combo class. You have to know is that combo class, the philosophy aspect, I hope you can all carry with you, because if anyone likes my math or likes the language stuff or the crazy experiments or whatever, or the meta experiment that it all is, that we are, you know, in the third level of the meta experiment, negative third level, that one of the biggest things of combo class that I really want, and this is the type of thing I said I would be really, this is sort of a follow-up to when I said, like, I really enjoy, it makes me proud and feel good if people say my videos made them do something. It helped them in a physical form in their world. They did, and or in this case, maybe it was just learning things that helped on a test for someone I saw here, which is also really cool. But an example that is sometimes my goal is things like people trying something on their own. I don't give like homework because that makes it sound mandatory, but I might start more often putting like, oh, challenge, if you want, think about it this way. But even if I don't write challenge in a video, you can still think about it alternate ways. So when you see me doing an experiment in a video, that's the type of thing that I can do on a whiteboard or on a computer document or maybe on Desmos or OEIS or something, consider doing it yourself. Same with any natural experiments that do not involve fire, glass, or tools, or anything breaking, or anything that appears dangerous in any way. Not those moments. Don't copy those. That's just for me. You only need to do the experiment once. Don't do those experiments again. We saw the results. They're fine. Okay? But do not copy what you'll see me do to that door in the next combo class episode. But I really should wrap up. It just hit midnight. So I should go to bed soon, but in any case, it's not perfectly soundproofed here. I might re-soundproof part of this like it used to be, but even in here, this is like a shed, so I'm not sure if the neighbors can hear me talking really loud. I can be a loud talker. In any case, though, there's a lot I could rant about because, I have a few months of updates that won't fit just in this live stream. So the next video is math, but then there's going to be some more random ones because, and a lot of them are math, but some of them are like follow-ups to an older combo class episode, or some of them are like on the computer instead of in the classroom. These are bonus videos that I have partway done, and or partway done, and the rest is brainstorm, just needs to be filmed and edited. And with those, I'll just do whatever I can. I don't want to make too many schedules this time because I feel really bad and guilty when I say something's going to come out on some date and then I'm not able to do it. And right now, my life's kind of crazy. I do expect to be able to release a lot of videos, hopefully, but I just don't want to promise any dates in the near future. And then once I am sure for more, I know that this is my current setup, having the classroom okay and having this zone sometimes as well, for the next 2 months. Once I know for a little longer than that, I'm going to try and set up a schedule at some point because I would love to have like a weekly bonus show or something. The main combo class channel episodes, I originally thought having an every other week, not right at the beginning, but somewhere around there, I thought every other week would be a good schedule for those. And if I could, every week. And then I thought, okay, I really like the number 6. What if we tried to someday get up to making one of those every 6 days? But then I started making much longer versions of them and started making longer ones, started editing them myself more. Some camera people went out of town, so I did more shots. I was filming myself on a tripod. And also a lot of other stuff that made me end up making these really long perfectionist projects instead. And it might sound weird to some people that I call them perfectionists because my videos are weird and they're homemade. So it's like some people who are a technician in one area of audio or video might be like, what do you mean perfectionist? There was some certain type of glare in 1/10 of the shots or whatever. But I have my own goals for what I think makes a good educational. I have my own interpretation of okay, how would I take this concept in math or something that's interesting and teach it to people in a way that is new, fun, and I like playing a bit with other surrealist philosophical elements. So, and sometimes fun gets funny mixed into it at times. But sometimes the other one might get other moods like spooky or who knows, or mysterious. I like playing with mysteries as well. In fact, in the last combo class episode, I did hide the word clue. It wasn't on purpose at first, but I noticed it very subtly being in one of the shots. And I partially used that for that reason. I had alternate takes as well, but at least once, at least the one I saw, the word clue is hidden in the last combo class episode. Also, that's not the only episode I hid the word clue in. So, and that's not the only type of clue I've hidden in episodes. Another thing, as I've gotten into language, it correlates a lot with codes. And I used to love, as I was a kid, writing ciphers. I even tried to write a language, but I did not go very deep with it. That was when I was 10. And with codes, I used to love writing certain ciphers that would be turn your words into a code. And there's a few ideas I made about that I'm saving for an episode sometime that are about ways to compress things into codes based on certain facts. It's sort of neat or convenient in a way that currently One of the ones I made, for example, is based on the fact that the amount of letters in the English alphabet plus one extra for a space-like thing, or if you needed, you could say like 2 of them in a row is a comma, 3 in a row is a period or whatever. But that's 27 is 3 to the third power. So I made one code that sort of compressed the data using that fact and some other ones. And I found something really interesting that was like, is going to be a whole episode topic. That is based on all of this had me, part of it connects to the alien thing I was mentioning. That I was, as I said, part that it's half a joke, half part of comboism. And I'll explain the halves at some point. Now, with the aliens, this is all connected because if an alien was going to send us a message, what would be messages they could send that we would understand? And one of the ones that I like as a symbol for combo class, for example, would be if they had like a shape like this of 6 things where the fingertips are in a triangle. And then some type of line from each one showing where they went. And where they went showed this. So there was like this with, it's hard to arrange it for the camera, but a 2 by 3 by 1, because there's 1 of them. So if there was a way they showed equal, like that they were the same balls being rearranged, or that there was the same amount, maybe a scale or something, like balancing them, some way of showing that there's an equal amount in those, that could sort of convey 2 times 3, or maybe even 1 times 2 times 3, equal, because there's 1 of them, equals 1 plus 2 plus 3 in the triangular structure. There would be ways, for example, aliens could convey knowledge of primes by showing like certain shapes. And now you might wonder also, how are they going to send shapes? What if they just have like send linear data? You know, it might be like a radio wave or something that functions in a slightly more linear-ish way. And well, there are some interesting ways. And there's this one real human experiment that happened once where one of the things we've tried to send to space, just as a sort of test, and just in case aliens happen to find it, maybe seeing, oh, how could we make something they could figure out? And it used a semi-prime amount of binary digits. A semi-prime is 2 primes multiplied together. So if you took that line and then you tried to go like, these are the first 11, these are the next 11, these are the next 11. There are only 2 ways to do that, which are like the rectangle going this way or the rectangle going this way. So it sort of like makes you wonder when you see that semi-prime, like what if we test that? What if we sort of lay them out in one of those rectangles? And one of the rectangles, if you look at the binary digits, you see like an image, you can put whatever image you want there. So sending binary digits in a semi-prime sort of conveys a clue that look at this way of laying them out where I made a picture. So that would be a really crazy thing to get from aliens, would be like a binary string, and then it's a semi-prime. You're like, or here's the crazier one that I was thinking. It's like, I won't spoil all of it, but I'll say I took this concept much further. In the episode I make about it, you'll see how I took that further. Now, someone's wondering if they should go to sleep or how much longer. I can't predict my ranting, but I really should go to bed. So I am going to wrap it up now after I just look at the comments. No more random Demotro thoughts, but the last random Demotro thought of the synopsis. Okay, the end of the synopsis is, I love you all. Thank you for continuing to join me. The cool stuff coming. Now, in response to a few of these, we have some examples of the co-synonym from stick. Co meaning with or together. We have cooperation. Great concept. We have correlation. Great concept. Let me see if I can pull up some of the ones that I really liked, such as coincidence. Certain words that are like important to me already. And combo is one of them, of course. And another great thing with these word strings, with the prefixes and suffixes, the math analogy for it is often described as combinatorics on words. And so, we're getting our combinatorics. I actually have studied enough combinatorics that I could make a few episodes about that, which is a sub-branch of math. But it's not what combo class is named after. But combinatorics of words is kind of closer to what combo class is named after, like ways of combining concepts. Now, real quick, I want to see if I can find this example of, I wrote a few that I really liked. So I'm searching coincidence. Oh, yeah, community. Community is a great word. Was that one that was mentioned? Or no, cooperation is just reminiscent of it. Here's another one. I think contrast might also be that. Which, or is it con? Co and con, I guess, relate. The fact that co is with and con is not. I'm not sure. I got to look into that. But is contrast related to all those? Because contrast is like the second most important aspect of comboism after combos. And class, which represents like community, is somewhere on the top 10 most important things in comboism. And maybe class is second. If I make a system where class is second, that would be good, because then combo class would be listing our first two tenets of it. But some other ones that I noted for that were really cool is correspond, or maybe we heard that one. No, we heard correlate, or I don't know which of those, but those are two. One got mentioned. Correlate and correspond. Complex numbers. Complex numbers are, because I've mentioned this before, that it means complex doesn't mean complicated in that circumstance. It means complex, like a housing complex, like together in a way. And so, like they live together, it almost means. And so, or not exactly, but it doesn't mean complicated. And then I found it in my co-words. Here, I'm just going to, instead of looking at my notes, I'm just going to pull up the co-words. Words starting with co. And I found some really cool stuff for class as well. So class has its own interesting stuff. But let me pull this up. It's like frozen on that thing. I'm gonna have to redo the whole screen if I do it. It's not gonna be worth it. It gets frozen on the old thing, where it's really annoying. And when I'm recording something, it's fine, because when I quit the OBS software, that's like the middleman here, the middle robot, that's like the link to the streaming. That when I quit that and restart it, the camera computer part works again. But like, this isn't what I'm seeing right now on the computer behind me. That's just like a frozen bit of it. And I don't want to quit it right now, because I don't know what that does to the live stream. Now, looking through a list myself though, real quick. Oh, I'm sorry if I say it's almost done and then I make it not almost done. If anyone does need to go to bed, this will be posted as a video. I hope people know that. I almost always keep the live streams as videos after the fact. And they're just on the live tab. And you could have a correction is a sort of cool one. There's too many words starting in co. I can't even see them all. I'm going to look at words starting in com, because even that, which it doesn't capture all of them, has even more in common. Common with combo class. But you know, common is one of those. Combo class is more about the vibe of uncommon, but I'm going to count com being a prefix, even if we have another prefix before it. I'm going to count that. So uncommon, I would say, also is using com. So yeah, and combination, of course, is sort of just the long form of combo. Combo is sort of a nickname for the word combination. Now, combustible, oh my god, every combo class is all about the words that start with C-O-M, or especially if we just say C-O. Combustible. And comedy. So it's like, comedy is like a great tenet of my life. I aim to, when I find things funny, I find them really funny, and it like feels good, and I also want to make other people find things funny. And so, you know, when I'm at my darker times, I strive toward comedy as one of the things I try and get back for, like, you know, laughing at things and such. And so comedy is one of the core tenets of like how humans function. So I think it's very important about human life. You know, laughter is good. So, and comedy is good. And I love comedy science. I haven't even gotten you started, but sometime people will see probably writings, maybe episodes I'll do about comedy science. About some of that's in the Threvens book, because there's a bit just about the number 3 before it goes into multiples of it. And things like using three of something and having the first two be some pattern that the third one subverts, or just some pattern that the third one does strongly enough to clarify the pattern, makes three appearances of things so common throughout fiction and various things. Lists, you'll like if I said like it's common throughout fiction, not well, no, fiction and nonfiction is a terrible example because those are more binary. But okay, if it's common through like comedy, mystery, philosophy, and more, that's depending on how you count the more. A lot of lists like that use three because they have there's this emphasis that hits out where you set up this pattern and you hit it or you subvert it. And when you subvert it, hints toward the comedy or other moods like horror could be a subversion of that. And then when you hit it, it's sort of, if you had a subtler pattern to begin, sometimes it takes three to fully feel the pattern. And so, yeah, a lot of interesting patterns can emerge from that. Now, there's too many words starting with co for me to say all of them. It'll be more comfortable, which is one of them, if I start getting ready for bed. But I just can't believe all of these words I love that have this root together. And don't worry, to anyone who likes when I get really flustered about the English language, that will happen as well. I've been learning to love some aspects of the English language, but I've found just as many terrible, ridiculous things. Oh my God. The part of the Threven book as well that I'm writing is one of the big themes or portions of it. It's sort of a compilation of some of my main thoughts that I've shared or haven't shared about why systems like clocks and calendars and languages are just so broken, and that's because they keep evolving and we froze at like one state and we froze at a bad state. And really what the book is about it's about the time that we decided the fingers represent the base. Saying that this tells us we should count in base 10. There are so many different ways that is wrong. I can't even describe, not like whatever way you're thinking, oh, he means that it doesn't mean that because of this. There's 10 other ways too. And the book is about this big divide. And it's not about this, but it all comes from this, I realized. There's this moment in history relating to humans not understanding zero yet that led us down this wrong path. And so I got carried away trying to write a book about why Threven should be in the dictionary. And you'll see it will be totally worth it. I'm not going to go through all the co-words right now. I'll wrap up. I'll save the co-words for later. I'll collect my favorites. It's everywhere. See, when you're thinking about language, the stuff shows up everywhere. Because with our language, we loop this like somewhat relatively limited set of words in your vocabulary around. And it's just crazy when you're looking for something, how much you'll see it. And it's not just the human bias to have, you notice the things that match the pattern more than the random boring ones. It's also with language that some stuff is just weirdly frequent and you don't notice when it's right in front of your face. And it's weird having language because you learn it when you're so young that you know no rules, no expectations, your brain has not much in it, and you start learning these words. So it's like you have to go back unless you're a linguist major, you have to stumble into or purposefully go back to things like, oh, what is the construction of the word preposterous? Oh, preposterous, it's really just a prefix, some ending attached to mean like that going on. And so it's like only prefix, suffix, kind of. And that the prefix is contrast, and it is the definition. Preposterous like defines an example of itself. So things like that, you have to go back and think. The next main combo class episode, I'm trying to edit down some of it because I got too carried away mentioning, like, I got so worried about people understanding me that I would be like, There was this long rant that I had to cut down shorter about how I said the word range to describe, like a range of numbers from -10 to 10. And then I realized, like, no, people use that in language casually, but I should have been saying domain in many of those times. And the range being the output was something that we were not restricting to a range. And there's a lot of words that casually, this is like one of the big problems that cause us to have wrong intuitions about things is I want you folks to try and think before you watch the next main combo class episode about what are some words you can think of. And don't look it up because I'll provide the best examples that match the video in the video. It'll be more fun to learn it that way. But think about it if you want. What are some words and the implications of them that the English word we use actually is describing two different mathematical concepts? Sort of like how I said random is the opposite, but there are some times where instead of being the opposite, it's like similar concepts, but a big enough divide that it really gets us wrong to have one name for two things. Let me think if there's a good... I want to give an example that doesn't spoil the video. I'll save the most mathematical ones for there. For now, for a more linguistic, silly one, why does mean so many things? That's pretty mean of whoever designed the English language. They should have fixed that by any means. So, some words are just so annoying that some of the math words I've been using a lot, they're like the same words I would use, like average and what does it mean? Okay, so we're going to wrap up now, and thank you to all the comments. I am not able to respond to all of them, but I love you all. Thank you. To whoever is saying they hope things can become stable, that's Emerson. Thank you. It's not incredibly unstable. I'm not like going to be on the street or anything, but the worst case scenario is going to be I'm going to fight and work and find a way to keep making videos. So to speed up the process by a lot. It's going to be way fast. This is going to be one of the slower periods of my life. Like, there's only me one time where my whole family has to figure out what's happening with the house due to a separation. So the worst case scenario is that I have to move the classroom. I think it's less than 50%. I know the next 2 months should be pretty good for me to film a lot of the ideas that I have. So, and there's so much stuff that like I filmed and basically could put out, but there's a bit of it that I'm like, I could do that a little better. And so there's a lot of bonus videos and shorts that like I might look like half a year younger in part of them, but I just wanted to tidy them up, and I haven't been able to find the right time and the mind space. And filming is like good for me. So when I don't film as much, I feel worse, and then it's harder to motivate myself to film. So I go in loops like that. As I said earlier, I can stick with some habits a lot. Maybe related to why I quit drinking, which, as I mentioned, today I have passed 1 year again that I have not drank any alcohol, even at parties or whatever. And with all of that, I really should wrap up. And so I'm going to know that I'm going to be like, oh, why didn't I mention this thing? So here is a weird, subtle clue that represents whatever thing I forgot to mention, that in some way or another, you can make a cool connection between this completely ambiguous statement and whatever thing I'm going to forget. Ology. Yeah, if we stick ology at the end, it's more likely to have some random connection to what I was talking about. Anyway, let me take a quick visit by the classroom, but I think it's going to be a silent visit. So I'm going to have to wrap up my talking. And I love you all. I will catch you again for the math video on this channel tomorrow. And then whatever comes, comes. The next main combo class episode will be huge. I don't know exactly when it's going to come out. But I sort of wanted to make this just to anyone who cared, let you know all those personal details and some plans of what's going to go on, and partially just to make sure everybody knows that if you ever don't catch me for some period, that I am still working on the combos, that sometimes I get imbalanced of my ratio of how much I'm filming or interacting with the world in ways like communicating with collaborators or communicating with much of anyone or releasing videos or stuff like that. And then I get a compounding amount of feeling anxious about if I release a video or how I film a video. So, since I have habits like that, I just need to just get back into the habit, force myself to put out some random videos, which is another reason I made this, so that I'm on the hook to finish that video tomorrow morning, so that I must release that video tomorrow morning. And apart from that, I said I'm not going to make many promises about exactly when things are going to come in the next 2 or 3 months, but I'm going to try and make a lot. And if I'm not working on things, I also wanted to let you folks know that I'm dead serious about writing a book that I think will change mathematics about 3 even numbers. So that takes some time, because I'm not going to write some slop, cheap book. I'm going to write a book that I've never asked my fans to buy a product, apart from saying, if you have the ability, you can support on Patreon or the memberships. I have turned down every sponsorship. I am trying to design a card game, and I always still feel like, oh God, how am I going to ask my fans for money? That's going to feel so fake, because I'm a real person. I don't like the world where money is so powerful. It's a weird fake thing. So, I mean, you need currency, but the amount of fakeness with it, and it all just makes me feel like I feel like not wanting to do things like sponsorships, which can be good. It can keep my stuff a lot more pure. But then I get hesitant to even like ever release a product or something. And I have to remember, I have some things that could be a good product. So when I finish those, at some point the first products I would ever ask people to buy are going to probably be my book. And so that's why I'm sometimes going to tell you that I think it will be notable, so that when I'm like, hey, everyone should buy my book for whatever amount of dollars, I'm able to make it cheap enough to not lose money. That I hope, please consider, if you like Combo Class, even if you don't read paper books much, this book is designed to try and make paper books fun again. And it is the Combo Class vibe. So, maybe I will release my music at random points too, because there'll be music lessons. But when I record my music in here, which only requires for some songs me to record the lyrics, maybe some sort of music video or something, those will go out on this channel. I don't know what form. I think for a lot of projects of that, it might be like, I might put the best song or two as a music video, and then I might put like a not full, not the edit of the video for the next one would be like clouds passing or something, some natural shot playing for an hour where I would put the whole album or something, because I don't want to put individual songs of an album worth on here as videos. That would like clog everything up. But maybe I might also just make a really long but really casual music video for a whole album. You know, maybe just a super casual hour-long music video. We'll see. I get a little too deep with some projects, and now that some of the smoke has cleared in some things around here, I'm going to try and get back to communications, get back to filming shorts, get to finishing my Combo Class video. And I can't help but just go back to my 3 even notes, because when I'm into something that I'm investigating, I'm just like, to me, it's like when you're watching a show and you want to get back to the show. I don't do that much anymore, but like in the past, if I would watch like a mystery or drama show or something, you're like, I want to get back to the show. I just like, I'm itching to find out what happens next, to go back in that world. I can get that with my own writings, where I'm like, all I want right now, I'm having fun because I'm talking to my combo lords and future combo lords and such. But often if I'm doing something, I'm like doing the dishes, I'm like, I just want to get back to my notes so I can write more about exploring what is the craziest way to put even and odd with the 3 definitions of each in a sentence or something. That's a more linguistic example, but also like there's a lot of mathematical explorations in the book too. The 3 even book, very different than it's based on a lot of data, but it is a completely, and there are people who have said base 6 would be good, but that's only one of the pinnings of what the book is about. I'll stop spoiling it, but I'll just say that when that comes out, even if you don't ever buy books, if you like my video, Please try it. So, somebody said they sped watched the live stream. Hope everything gets better and looking forward. Thank you. And thank you to everybody. I have a problem with endings. I'm bad with goodbyes. I've always been like this. When I used to leave parties, I used to have to feel like I had to say bye to every person. I mean, like everyone I knew. More like the type of party where it's like, 10 or 15 people, like not really a party, but more like a hangout or something. I would feel like every single person I got to say bye to. Or at a party, I would feel like I got to go find like all the people I know best and say bye to them or whatever. But it's like that's not necessary. People are. It's fine to end on a very random note, which I was about to do a gag where I ended the live stream while I was saying you can end on a random note, but I did say we're going to visit the combo classroom for a moment. So let's visit the combo classroom for a moment. Should we get to spooky mode? Okay, so here, what we're going to do is we're going to... I don't even know if anyone knows where we are in relation to the combo classroom. So this could have been anywhere, right? Well, here I am in front of a door, and you're going to see this is a replacement door. You're going to see the older non-replacement door have a few more crazy scenes you haven't seen yet. Scenes you haven't seen. So, here we're going to be in the combo classroom. And I should talk loudly. Here we are in the combo classroom, and I'm going to wrap it up, but I wanted to give everyone a quick peek of some strange sorts of shadows I've been playing with. So look at this. No, that one... I gotta get those. Look at that. So you can control the shadow. You see how I can control the shadow? Okay, that's all for the live stream. Now that I'm out here, I should not be quiet, but I love you all so much. I'll see you in a bonus math video tomorrow, and then that'll be on this channel and some other random stuff soon. Check the description for more links and stuff if